really worried about that after all these months? It was your hard work that did this, not mine. Now, for your reward, Izuku Midoriya.
Yes, sir!
Where are you? Taylor?
Someone told me this
Did
once.
you take out the
There's a
trash
difference
yet?
between being lucky and deserving. One's an accident, the other a reward. Never get the two confused. Take that to heart, young man. Eat this.
Huh?
To inherit my power, you've got to swallow some of my DNA. That's how it works.
This
Wait,
isn't
no.
exactly how I imagined
That's not what you
it.
think. It's not eating hair. It's just doing something else. They were just running and training and going crazy. And plus,
It's the year 2023, and while anime has been mainstream for quite some time now, you're still struggling to connect with your kid because they're into some weird Japanese stuff.
it's the year 2023, and while anime has been mainstream for quite some time now, you are still struggling to connect with your non-anime watching parents.
Look, once kids start to gain their own sense of independence and develop interests of their own, it can be hard to maintain that close parent-child connection. We get it. We've been through it.
Unfortunately, my parents were supportive of my interest in anime, but I don't think they quite understood what the excitement was all about. I mean, one of them even just called everything I watched and read Pokemon. But they were still supportive. They watched the occasional Studio Ghibli movie with me, but they might not have watched something more hardcore like Dragon Ball Z or Gundam Wing, something more anime. But they also did nice things for me too, like for my birthdays, they would give me Dragon Ball Z t-shirts or video games for my birthday, Christmas. So although I wish that they were a little more involved in watching anime with me, I do appreciate that they were at least accepting of it.
And for me, it was a long series of lonely years. My family, most of them, they just kind of shrugged my hobby off as that Animania stuff she does with her friends. Truly, they called it Animania. That's what they thought it was called. They thought it was called that. I mean, there was no hostility when they would drop me off with my friends to go to club events or go to conventions, but it was a real missed opportunity to bond. I just remember thinking that they thought something that I liked was weird, and that made me weird and just not okay. And I think in the long run, that had an impact on other areas where we could have bonded, like looking for colleges and trying to pick out a career. It's not that anime was was taking over my whole life or anything, and it wasn't, that big a part, but I feel like if I couldn't trust my family to not make fun of me for this one small part of my life, then why would I ever want to share with them anything that was important? In any case, today's video is a love letter to the non-watching parents of anime fans. We're here to help you get to know your kiddo a little better by way of introducing you to some shows that might interest you. And we're not saying that parents should be all up in what their kids do completely. Some things should just be for kids to have on their own. If your kids want a hobby on their own, we shouldn't push it. This is where checking in and community is important. You should respect each other. But regardless, we wanted to give parents some recommendations to empower them to start some fun conversations with their kids about what they might be interested in.
Since anime is a medium and not a genre, it can be super overwhelming for a tired, overworked adult. We're going to focus on series that are shorter, yet are packed with great story, characters, and some form of je ne sais quoi that you can get into. Thus, we have put together a list of entry point anime for parents of otaku. We're going to split our list into two separate ones. One to watch with your kids for them, and one to watch by yourself to help better understand the medium. Let's start with the most obvious of the anime, whatever they're watching.
If your kid is willing, Show them that you're interested in what they're interested in by actually sitting for the one they're actively excited about. No one's saying that you have to like whatever it is they're watching. You surely don't have to understand it. Just show up with a willing spirit and sit it out with them. Try to hold off on any questions or criticisms until the first episode is over. Just like in other forms of media, sometimes you have to wait to get more information. So you don't want to ruin the watching experience by badgering everyone with questions. If you don't like it, that's okay. They might roll their eyes or whatever, but I think your kid is going to see that you're trying to connect, and that's what really matters. You can just tell them honestly that it isn't really for you, but you're interested to know what they like about it, and have a conversation about that. Just be open.
Obviously, if something is way out of line with what is acceptable to you in terms of content, you should stop the show and have a calm, non-judgmental conversation about why you think the show is inappropriate, and try to find something that works for both of you to watch instead. If either of you gets frustrated, before you start fighting, agree to pause and come back to try again later when you're both calmer. That is, try again with the conversation, not the show. If you put your foot down on the show, obviously don't try to watch it again with them.
And don't forget, this might be just a part of their life that they want to keep for themselves. If that's the case, back off. Set some parameters for what's allowed content-wise, then let them be. But if they're open and ready to let you join them, let's look at some other series to try out together. Obviously, the needs are going to be different based on the kid. So we're going to do a suggestion for younger kids and a different one for older kids. For younger kids, Little Witch Academia.
At its core, Little Witch Academia is a series of films and TV shows about a group of girls trained to be witches at a prestigious school. The main character is a young girl enrolled at the school, but she has no affinity to magic. However, she's inspired by a famous witch to restore magic to a world that treats it like a relic. This series is a great underdog story, steeped in fantasy and adventure. This is really an all-ages kind of story, with lessons in believing in yourself, thinking outside of the box, and being loyal to your friends. Even though this is in the younger kids category, these qualities can be discussed no matter the age. There are also discussion topics focused on how you treat people different than yourself. As a warning, there are some creature designs that younger kids might find scary or too intense. For older kids, Shaman King.
Without giving too much away, Shaman King is a series about a young man who is competing for a chance to essentially rule over the world, spiritual and physical, by winning a competition against others who possess strong spiritual powers like himself. He gains friends and allies through his trials of becoming the strongest shaman. This series has a very engaging story and lots of fun action. There are some great opportunities for discussion here, like different belief systems of the world, what happens when we die, what you think about destiny, how important it is that you stick with your commitments rather than trying things out one time and walking away, etc. These are things your older kids are probably already thinking about, so watching the show may give you something to chat about, like if you agree or disagree with what the show says about these topics, your take, what your kid might think. Entertainment-wise, it's just a really fun spectacle. There are some darker moments you want to look out for, and there is an odd spat of male nudity to be aware of. But otherwise, pretty good. If you're entirely new to the concept of anime, we want to welcome you wholeheartedly and encourage you. The internet is full of trolls and gatekeepers who might have some nasty words against what you're trying to do. Look, anime is for everyone. Again, it's a medium, not a genre. There's something for everyone, so please take to heart. We're sure that you're going to find something that you like. That being said, while anime is for everyone, not every anime is for everyone. If you're looking into this to bond with your kid, you'll want to be careful about which rabbit holes you go down. Just as there are series that are appropriate for kids, there are just as many, if not more, that aren't appropriate for kids. There are some series out there that have adult-only content, and we're sure you're well aware of that. That's probably what had you apprehensive about this in the first place. Let us help you out here.
We're going to keep our suggestions mostly tame. This is a family channel after all.
Mostly.
We're keeping in mind adults who like good stories who want to watch anime for the first time. So again, keeping things relatively short and easily digestible. But these are more mature shows nonetheless, which contain more violence and more mature themes to them. We won't throw you to the wolves, but I would recommend watching these series after your kids go to bed. Our first suggestion is a Google search, actually. Think about your favorite movies and books. What kind of genres do you like? Romance? What are your favorite tropes? Time travel? Do you like specific topics? Tennis? You may be surprised to learn that the anime medium covers a vast amount of stories, including all of the previous mentioned ideas. Go on Google and type in your interests, and then anime right after it. See what comes up. There's no guarantee, but more than likely, you're going to find something interesting. If something sparks your interest, give it an episode. See if you want to watch more and go from there. If that doesn't work out, or if your search comes up blank, try one of her suggestions.
Erased. Now you're probably going to either hear a lot of praise or a lot of complaints about this show. But you're a parent. You're used to getting a lot of conflicting information. You have to check this one out for yourself. I suggest it because it's really short, but there's a lot of story packed into it. This is the story of Satoru Fujinuma. He's a pretty normal guy, except for one particular little minor superpower. He has some hang-ups about his past that get brought to the surface when something pretty horrific happens, and he's sent back in time to when he was a child. Here, a series of events happen that requires Satoru to take action to maybe change things that once happened. This story is easy to jump into and has a great mystery to it. Don't Google anything with this series. Don't listen to what anyone has to say either. If in the end you don't like it, that's okay. But this is a good series to start with. For me, it was one that helped re-spark my anime watching after years of nothing. It's one of those series that just plays out like a Hollywood movie. If that doesn't get you, try
Baccano. Baccano was a short series in 2007 that received a lot of praise from the critics and anime fans alike, but since then, it's faded into the background. However, this series has proven to be a great entryway for newcomers to get into anime. This story is about a gallery of thieves, mafia members, alchemists, and other unusual people. The only things that connect them are the train they're on, called the Flying Pussyfoot, and a mysterious elixir that grants eternal life. Baccano means ruckus in Italian, and that's the best description of what ensues on this train. The story is non-linear and character-driven, so it's important to pay attention to the events that happen from episode to episode. If you're willing to watch this series, you're guaranteed to have a great time with adventure, comedy, mystery, a dash of violence, and a lot of fun. On the topic of violence, though, a word of warning. This series has bursts of extreme violence. I repeat, extreme violence. I wouldn't recommend Baccano if that was all the series consisted of, but I wanted to bring it to your attention. Also, if you watch the dub, the language gets occasionally intense, but overall, it's relatively tame. If you can get past that, I recommend getting into Baccano blind and being prepared to stay at the edge of your seat.
In the end, whether you actually start a little anime watching hobby or not, we're happy that you took some time to show some interest in your kid. By the way, for any of you regular run-of-the-mill anime fans who may be watching anyway, we just want to say, look, you may not like our list, or you may find the idea of this video cringe, and that's okay.
We're not going to pretend that we have the best suggestions here, or even the best way to go about trying to engage with the next generation. Honestly, this list came about because we talked about how we wish our parents had shown more interest in what we were doing when we were kids.
We figured if we were once feeling that way, maybe there's somebody out there that's feeling that way too. So we just wanted to provide something for folks who might be feeling like that and not have anywhere to start. If that's you, we hope we at least provided a little bit of help.
Thank you for watching. Really appreciate you sharing your time with us. If you like what we're doing here, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. If not, that's okay too. Just have a great day either way.
As always, I'm O2 Mom.
And I'm O2 Dad.
We're your otaku parents, and don't forget to
Cough into your elbow when you sneeze.